Hey movie maniacs, what's up? Today, I'm excited to break down the most highly awaited supernatural horror flick of 2025. Final Destination Bloodlines. This one's seriously impressive, and get this, it's the first in the series to start off with a rating over 6, and now it's sitting comfortably at a solid 7.2 out of 10. It's the 6th installment, but don't worry if you missed the earlier ones, because this movie ties everything together, answering all those "why did that happen?" questions from the first 5 films. It dives deep into how those creepy premonitions actually work, and whether it's some kind of curse or something else entirely. You don't need to watch the previous movies to understand what's going on here. It's basically a prequel and sequel wrapped up into one neat package. Plus, it's the best reviewed movie in the whole franchise so far. So, without wasting any more time, let's jump straight into Final Destination Bloodlines. The movie kicks off in 1969, where we meet Iris and her boyfriend Paul, who's dragging her blindfolded, like he's about to propose or reveal a magic trick. When he finally uncovers her eyes, Iris freezes, staring at a giant steel and glass needle in the sky. The brand new Sky View restaurant, standing a ridiculous 494 feet tall and apparently opening for the first time today. Paul is practically glowing with excitement, while Iris is doing her best to smile through the growing panic on her face, because, fun fact, being suspended hundreds of feet in the air in a rotating restaurant doesn't exactly scream romance to her. Still, they walk in, and as they do, we cut to this random kid outside throwing coins into the fountain like he's making a wish or summoning something. A nearby guard quickly shuts it down, warning him that tossing coins there brings bad luck, which, if true, is a terrible design flaw. Anyway, the kid backs off. Meanwhile, Iris and Paul enter the building's massive elevator. This thing can carry up to 9,000 tons, which honestly sounds less like a feature and more like a Final Destination teaser. Inside, the hotel staff is acting like it's Christmas, and payday rolled into one. The elevator operator, clearly the most enthusiastic man alive, greets everyone like a game show host and casually mentions that this entire high-tech marvel was completed 5 months ahead of schedule, which is either impressive or terrifying, depending on how you feel about rushed construction. Everyone's vibing, taking selfies. Mentally, it's 1969, sipping champagne and acting like nothing could possibly go wrong. Even the coin kid somehow ends up in the lift, because sure, that's normal. Iris, however, is clearly uneasy. She doesn't say it, but you can see it in her eyes. Something feels off. Her instincts are screaming, her stomach is flipping, and her brain is basically waving red flags. Once they reach the top floor, Paul heads to the reception desk to confirm their reservation, except there is no reservation. The receptionist politely shuts him down. Turns out, his table was never actually reserved. Paul walks away with that sad little smile guys wear when they know they messed up but just can't admit it. Iris tries to comfort him, but she's clearly not okay. Her face says, "romantic date," but her body says, "I need a bathroom now." She rushes off, leaving Paul behind, while the rest of the floor turns into a high society circus. There's music, drinks, dancing, the whole 9 yards, and yet something isn't right. A bartender cracks open a bottle, and the cork flies straight into the chandelier hanging above, breaking off a sharp piece that crashes down and cracks the glass section of the floor. Yeah, this restaurant thought it was a great idea to have a glass dance floor suspended hundreds of feet above the ground. Brilliant. Turns out, the piece that fell hit right where the structure was weakest, because they rushed construction 5 months ago. And guess what? Down below, the building joints are already wobbling under all that extra weight. Meanwhile, Iris bumps into the singer performing at the event, who's there with her son. The singer casually asks if Iris is pregnant because, well, she looks it. And Iris awkwardly admits she might be a month or 2 along. But Paul, he doesn't know yet. She's been too scared to tell him, which explains the random vomiting earlier. Anyway, the singer gives her a warm smile, blesses her, and walks off. Cut to Paul, who pulls Iris aside for a surprise proposal. She says yes, and he slides a ring on her finger. It's a little tight, but hey, symbolism, right? She finally confesses the pregnancy, expecting him to freak out. But no, he lights up like it's the best news ever. They're dancing. They're happy. Meanwhile, that same kid from earlier is chucking coins off the edge, despite a guard warning warning him that falling coins from that height hit like bullets. One of the coins gets sucked into a vent and jams a fan. That's going to matter in a minute. Back to the dance floor. The crack in the glass, it's spreading, and just when everything's all sunshine and slow dancing, the coin pops out of the fan, ricochets into a pipe, and flammable gas starts leaking. Iris senses something's wrong and instinctively steps off the glass section. The moment she does, it shatters. People plunge 494 feet straight down. Iris tries to save Paul, but he slips through her hands, and just like that, he's gone. Her dreams gone too, smashed just like that glass. Meanwhile, the building structure collapses, chaos erupts, and a woman catches fire and stumbles right into the area where gas is leaking, triggering a firestorm that makes everything 10 times worse. Iris somehow manages to save herself, but not before witnessing the singer engulfed in flames right before her eyes. In a final act of maternal instinct, the singer secures her son inside a box, sacrificing herself to protect him, because that's what parents do. They save their children. The fire spreads rapidly, consuming everything in its path. A glass section shatters, and the building, already compromised at its joints, begins to bend and collapse. Many people plummet, but some are spared by the window glass. Meanwhile, the coin that had landed on the chandelier earlier falls, striking a piano positioned centrally. The piano crashes into the glass window, resulting in multiple fatalities. Some individuals attempt to escape via the elevator, but it cannot withstand the weight and gives way, leading to numerous deaths. A receptionist, trying to enter the elevator, is tragically split in two. Others take the stairs, but they too collapse, claiming more lives. The only survivor appears to be the coin-throwing child, who descends and rejoices in his survival, until the piano falls on him, silencing him forever. The coin he had been tossing returns to the fountain, symbolizing the essence of bad luck. In a shocking turn, Iris is the sole survivor, discovering the singer's son and attempting to save him. However, both slip and hang precariously. Iris's finger, adorned with the ring Paul had given her, gets caught. In the struggle, her skin is torn, and both she and the child fall to their deaths. The scene shifts to the present day, introducing us to Stephanie, a young woman haunted by nightmares of the past disaster. She confides in her friend about these recurring dreams and reveals that Iris, whom she's never met, is her grandmother. Seeking answers, Stephanie visits her father and brother, Charlie. Her mother, Darlene, Paul, and Iris's daughter, had left when Stephanie was just 10. When Stephanie inquires about Iris, her father offers little information. Determined, she and Charlie visit their Uncle Howard and meet their cousins. Howard dismisses the disaster as a figment of Iris's imagination, claiming she became delusional, imprisoning others, and sending disturbing letters, leading the family to sever ties. Despite warnings to stay away, Stephanie, driven by unanswered questions, uses the letters to find Iris. She discovers Iris living alone in a bunker, monitoring cameras vigilantly. Iris allows Stephanie inside, without phone or keys, explaining the necessity due to the ominous deaths that have occurred. They converse, and Iris reveals that Stephanie's nightmares are actually premonitions Iris once had. The initial disaster was a vision that Iris foresaw, enabling her to save everyone. However, Death was displeased with this interference. In this narrative, Death is an entity that claims those who were meant to die. Since Iris prevented the deaths, her descendants were never supposed to exist, prompting Death to target them. Iris, having lost Paul, comprehended Death's patterns and dedicated years to researching and compiling a book on the subject. So basically, Death isn't just picking people off randomly, it's running a personal vendetta against Iris's entire bloodline. Because Iris once did the unthinkable, she cheated Death. She saw a horrific disaster before it happened, just her, no one else. And instead of saving herself like any rational person would, she played superhero and saved everyone. Noble, right? Except Death doesn't exactly do forgiveness. Now, one by one, her descendants are getting erased like they were never meant to exist, which, according to Death's cosmic spreadsheet, they weren't. Stephanie, Iris's granddaughter, is understandably freaking out. But when Iris tries to hand her this book packed with premonition-level details, Stephanie just walks out. And Iris? She knows stepping outside means game over, but to prove her point, she follows her and dies exactly the way she predicted. Fast forward to the funeral. Darlene, the long-lost mom who bailed when Stephanie was 10, shows up like it's a family reunion. Stephanie's not impressed. The next day, while everyone's off partying at Howard's place, because apparently nothing screams grief like chips and beer, Stephanie stays home, digging through Iris's doomsday scrapbook. Inside, the cursed coin that started the Skyview disaster, and a full breakdown of how people are likely to die, falling wood, rogue cars, and yes, even a plane, which totally tracks with Final Destination 1. And listen, I watched that movie as a kid, and trust me, that plane scene still haunts me every time I fly. I stopped watching those movies just to get some sleep, but Bloodlines pulled me right back into the madness. If any of you ever had this kind of irrational fear too, let me know in the comments so I don't feel alone here. Anyway, turns out the original disaster never happened because Iris stopped it, but Death was so insulted it decided to curse everyone who should have died, including their entire future bloodline, which, fun fact, explains all the deaths in every Final Destination movie. We're talking full circle storytelling here, people, and now we've got newspaper clippings for every gruesome demise, linking it all back to Skyview. Then we get to the party scene, because apparently someone thought it was a great idea to celebrate while a death curse is still in motion. A shard of glass ends up in someone's drink. There's a garden tool lying under a trampoline, because of course there is, and people are bouncing around like it's a normal day. Darlene sees the tool and removes it, which makes me wonder, how much does she actually know? And Stephanie? She finally pieces it all together and rushes to the party to stop the madness. But surprise, she's already too late. So here's where Death really starts getting creative. A bottle tips over, hits a water pump. The pump turns, water starts flooding through a pipe, and naturally, it knocks over some tools. Meanwhile, that drink with the glass shard, it ends up on the floor. Howard steps right into the mess, gets a shard lodged in his foot, slips, and down he goes. Then the tools that just got knocked over, they fall straight onto a lawnmower. It fires up on impact, and within seconds, it slices through Howard's face like it's handling yard work on autopilot. Cut to his funeral. Stephanie finally reads the book Iris left behind and finds a name, JB. Now, Final Destination fans might recognize that, but if not, keep watching. Stephanie maps out the whole family tree. Iris and Paul, their kids, Howard and Darlene, then Howard's kids, Bobby, Eric, and Julia, and Darlene's kids, Stephanie and Charlie. She tells them they were all supposed to die years ago at Skyview, but Iris messed with the plan and saved them. Death wasn't done though. It's been circling back ever since to fix the timeline, and the worst part? The people who cheated Death had kids, and now those lives weren't supposed to exist either. So now it's a full bloodline wipeout, starting with the oldest. Howard's gone. Then it's Eric, Julia, Bobby, Darlene, and finally, Stephanie and Charlie. But no one believes her. They treat her like she's just another Iris, another family conspiracy nut. She finally realizes how isolated Iris must have felt. That same night, Eric is at his tattoo parlor, giving himself a tribute tattoo for his dad. Music's blasting. Bass knocks a chemical bottle off a shelf and a fan chain snaps, getting caught in his nose ring. While he's untangling that mess, the chemical catches fire, and the place almost turns into a crematorium, but he survives. Next morning, Stephanie wakes up Charlie. They need to get to Eric. Turns out, Eric made it out alive, but he still doesn't buy any of this. Julia shows up too, just in time to brush Stephanie off. While she's off to the side, a random ball hits her. She stumbles into a trash bin, and a garbage truck finishes what fate started. One more down. The family finally starts panicking. Stephanie warns them. Death has changed the game. Since they figured out the order, Death scrambled the list. Now, no one's safe. But then, Eric's mom casually drops a truth bomb. Eric isn't Howard's son. He was born from an affair, so he's not part of the cursed bloodline, which makes sense. He survived. Julia, the actual firstborn, didn't. Eric's crushed. Meanwhile, Stephanie says they need to save Bobby next. According to the book, there's a method to avoid death, kind of like math. Also, they need to find JB. Darlene remembers a letter from Iris saying JB works at a hospital, so they all head out, Bobby and Eric included. On the way, Stephanie and Darlene talk. Darlene admits she watched Iris live in fear every day and didn't want that for her own kids, so she left. At the hospital, they finally meet JB, the same guy fans always debated. Some thought he was Death, others thought he was an angel. Turns out, he's just the son of that singer who survived Skyview. He later met Iris. They teamed up, did research, and eventually both were diagnosed with cancer. JB then explains there are only two ways to cheat death: take someone else's life to claim their years, or die and be revived. Apparently, one girl actually pulled it off. She died, was medically brought back, and got erased from Death's hit list. The cycle ended. The chain broke. The cycle was broken. The circle was shattered. Death thought it had already claimed her, and that's what actually saved her. Now JB says, since he has cancer too, he just wants to spend his final moments peacefully and walks away. So he walks away like a man who's already read the last page. And honestly, in real life, because of cancer, legend Tony Todd isn't with us anymore. So, rest in peace. Meanwhile, Stephanie's brain, a full-blown pressure cooker. She's trying to figure out their next move, while Eric decides to drag Bobby into the most questionable plan ever. Bobby's allergic to peanuts, so the genius idea is he eats them, goes into anaphylactic shock, they save him at the last second, and voila, the cycle is broken. They grab peanut biscuits, but the vending machine decides it's done helping humans. It jams. Eric, in full frustration mode, punches the glass. Not great decision making. The glass cracks. He tilts the machine, and a spring flies out. Next thing you know, they're in the MRI room. The machine kicks in, magnetic field goes nuts, and it starts pulling every single metal object, including Eric's piercings, straight toward it. And suddenly, there's a chair flying in behind him, and Eric gets crushed into the machine like a tin can. And no, don't go frying your brains over how this even happened. Eric wasn't even on the death list, right? So why'd he die? Look, it's a movie. Anything can happen. Reality took a smoke break, but since you're all so invested, let me throw out my own little theory. Death just didn't like Eric. Maybe he messed up the vibe. Who knows? Anyway, just saying. The whole point is, Death is now overpowered. Anyway, Bobby's still breathing for now, but then the nurse opens the door, and that one rogue spring from earlier, it launches straight into the MRI and hits Bobby right in the head. Game over. Death just collected another soul. Stephanie's now officially unraveling. Every time someone cheats Death, it backfires hard. She talks to Darlene and Charlie. Darlene suggests staying in Iris' cabin. I mean, Iris lived there for decades, so maybe it's death-proof? They all go there. Meanwhile, remember that coin? The one that dropped earlier? A random woman picks it up. Let me remind you, everyone who's dying now should have died back in 1969 at Skyview. But they survived, started families, and now Death is circling back to finish the list. Until everyone connected to that event is gone, Death's not clocking out. And here's what I think. Maybe Death didn't accidentally give Iris the vision. Maybe it wanted people to start saving others, to create even more targets, like it's all part of a bigger trap. Maybe a demonic curse is pulling the strings behind this thing, and honestly, if they ever reveal that in a sequel, I'd be all in. Back to our nightmare. The cabin is locked, so Stephanie busts in through the main entrance. That sets off the spark cable. She's stuck in her seatbelt and tells Darlene to run. Darlene goes inside, but then a pin snaps off and activates a gas cylinder. The spark hits, and the place explodes. The impact throws a RV into the water, dragging Stephanie down with it. Meanwhile, Darlene gets crushed by a falling pillar. Charlie jumps in, finds an unconscious Stephanie, gives her CPR, and she comes back. He says, "You were gone, now you're alive." That means the cycle is finally broken. But they're grieving hard. They just lost Darlene. Later, Charlie visits his dad's house. Stephanie's with him. And then we see a woman shopping nearby. She drops the coin, and it slides onto the train tracks. Just great. That coin started it all, and now it's back to finish the job. Stephanie and Charlie visit the doctor. He tells them Stephanie never actually died, she just blacked out, which means the cycle is still active. Real death means no pulse, no breath, and then a comeback. That didn't happen, so now they know death is coming. They start feeling it, and then the train hits that coin lodged in the track derails and heads for the street. Stephanie and Charlie run, and for a second, they think they've made it. But then a stack of massive timber crashes down on them. Both are instantly crushed. That might be the most brutal death in this entire film. Their bodies gone under tons of wood. The curse isn't done. And then newspaper clippings show us the rest. Every family that cheated death is now being erased, one by one, until nothing is left. So, that's where Final Destination Bloodline finally crashes to an end. And now, dear viewers, you've got the full, in-depth breakdown of this chaotic ride. Hopefully, the fog's cleared, and you finally get what the movie's been screaming all along. No, people weren't just dying randomly because fate was having a bad day. There was an actual reason behind all that carnage, a curse, born from death itself. And it all started with Iris, who got visions, creepy, vivid ones, that let her save everyone who was supposed to die that day in 1969 at Skyview. Sounds heroic, right? But guess what? Death doesn't like being cheated. Because Iris messed with the natural order, those people went on to live full lives, have families, and basically mess up Death's entire schedule. And Death, she's been playing the long game quietly, crossing off names like it's her personal to-do list. So, until every last one of them is wiped off the map, she's not hitting pause. So if you like this story, dripping with fate, curses, and irony, then hit that like button. And if you're new here, subscribe for more madness like this. I'll catch you in the next one, unless Death's got other plans.